One. All right, welcome everyone to the Divine Feminine.
Good morning, everyone. So wonderful to see all of you. I would love to start off our morning Divine Feminine Principle segment with a poem written by a poet from India called Rabindranath Tagore. And yes, my fancies are fireflies, specks of light twinkling in the dark, the voice of wayside pansies that do not attract the careless glance, murmurs in these desultory lines. In the drowsy dark caves of the mind, dreams build their nest with fragments dropped from day's caravan. Spring scatters the petals of flowers that are not for the fruits of the future, but for the moment's whim. My words, joy freed from the bond of earth's slumber, rushes into numberless leaves and dances in the air for a day. My words that are slight, my lightly dance upon time's waves, when my works heavy with import have gone down. Mind's underground moths grow filmy wings and take a farewell flight in the sunset sky. The butterfly counts not months but moments and has time enough. My thoughts, like spark, ride on winged surprises carrying a single laughter. The tree gazes in love at its own beautiful shadow, which yet it never can grasp. Let my love, like sunlight, surround you and yet give you illumined freedom. Days are colored bubbles that float upon the surface of fathomless night. My offerings are too timid to claim your remembrance, and therefore you may remember them. Leave out my name from the gift, if it be a burden, but keep my song. April, like a child, writes hieroglyphs on dust with flowers, wipes them away, and forgets. I just thought that would be a really wonderful way to start, even though it is the 1st of May, I believe.
Yes.
But April was yesterday, and Jamin and I had a beautiful experience. All the trees are flowering right now with pink petals, and the winds were very strong, and the trees were bowing and dancing in the wind, and the pink blossoms were blown off the trees. And it was like being in one of those snow globes that you shake, and all these petals were flowing and fluttering around us. And we were like little kids trying to catch the pink snow as it came off of the tree. And it just brought me back to my own childhood of dancing in pink petals, and this simplicity and this joy of being alive that we're called upon now by Mother Earth and by creation to come back in touch with that inner place, that inner sanctuary where we can again delight in all the earth that happens on this earth, even in these dark times. I thought that'd be a good way to open. And then our guest Khushbu, who's in India, if she's still here, I see her name. We'd like to invite her to open also with a prayer in Sanskrit. Khushbu, thank you so much. This is Khushbu, everyone. So delighted that she's joining us. Namaste.
So the prayer is called Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu. It means Loka has two meaning, world and person. It's the same word for two things. So we are praying for all the worlds that are out there and all the people that are out there, and we are praying for their well-being and happiness. So I'll be reciting it for 3 times. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Wow, what a beautiful way to start the morning. Every morning we should start this way. Prayer and poetry. I vote for prayer and poetry. It's going to heal the planet. All right, I'm going to pass this morning over to Jackie. And take it away, Jackie. Thank you so much for being here.
This is so wonderful. I'm so excited. Welcome everyone again to another segment of the Divine Feminine for our 24-hour collective intelligence block party. This week, we are honored to have the amazing Renee King-Sonnen with us. I met her in the first Vegan World 2026 conference in 2018. And her mission, but her personality and her creativity, she's an artist and she's just magnetic. So instead of introducing, I'd love for her to introduce herself. And also if you could speak on your spiritual journey and how the Divine Feminine informed your awakening and how the fierceness of that Divine Feminine created the mission that you're on today.
Thank you, Jackie. Wow. And I appreciate so much the poem and the Sanskrit prayer. It was beautiful. I was over here chanting with you. My journey starts. Well, number one, I'm the founder of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary and the Rancher Advocacy Program. The Rancher Advocacy Program is currently transitioning a farm in Arkansas that they are former chicken farmers and cattle ranchers. They had 4 big 20,000 square foot barns that were, they were just a production facility, with Tyson and others like that, Purdue. And they did that for many years, and they inherited it from their family. And to see this family now vegan, plant-based vegans, to see this family that has 240 cows on their land, that I was blessed with the ability to save them through my my own mission. There's no words. We got word just a few days ago that the funding for this one-of-a-kind project in the world, never before done, has cleared their bank. And so phase 1 of this amazing mushroom farm conversion is it started. So this meeting, honestly, couldn't come at a better time for me to honor the divine feminine. Because, you know, a lot of my work, I'm 62 years old, and a lot of my work through the years has been, you know, in the arts. I am a certified yoga teacher in multiple disciplines, Hatha yoga, Kundalini yoga, and I'm also an Ayurveda practitioner. I chant in both Sanskrit and Gurmukh. I've taken multiple classes in that regard. I go to silent retreats whenever I can. I've been to multiple 10-day silent retreats, 5-day silent retreats, and I have a very rich meditation life. Without it, I don't know how anybody really can do the kind of work that is so necessary in this world that we're doing anyway. So my work in my life pretty much began in Texas. I was raised in a very traditional, just Texas family in Jacinto City, Texas, and I graduated from Galena Park High School. I was the girl that was always trying to escape my life. I had a very violent upbringing as far as families go. The violence in my home was pretty atrocious. My dad was a full-blown alcoholic and very abusive to my mom. So the way that translated to me, being the oldest of 3 kids, was I was always trying to protect my mother from my father, literally saving her life. I'm backing up here for a minute because I'm telling y'all this because people often wonder, you know, the kind of character, if you will, or what is it in my character that keeps me so going, motivated, and in this very difficult world we're all in. I mean, not only managing, operating Rowdy Girl Sanctuary, but now Rancher Advocacy Program, you know, and really it's because my beginnings were so tragic, honestly, that I learned early on how to manage unbelievable stress. And the way that I did that in my youth was I too became an alcoholic and a drug addict. That's how I managed my stress. You know, gratefully, I'm in recovery today, but because of all the unbelievable violence in my home, and my dad, you know, almost killed my mother, and I think he was going to kill all of us, honestly, at one point. Was one of those stories. And instead, my mother fled, and I didn't see her for 2 weeks. And what happened after that in my life was I was very angry. I was very angry. I didn't have much respect for my mother because she was, in my mind at that time, so weak. And so she was my first feminine role model. You know, it was my mother. And I spent my childhood defending her, meaning that, and, you know, whereas I should have, in the real world, you know, at least the way I thought it to be, which is nowhere near the truth. I mean, in my own imagination, I thought she should be the mother and I should be the child, and our roles were reversed. I was having to take care of my mother, and what I know now, because of my own journey, is that it was all in divine order. This is the way it was supposed to be. And my lessons has been in understanding that I chose all this. You know, I didn't I never knew that as a child, obviously, but as I began to do my own work, and this is the person I am, I've always sought a level of awareness that exceeded where I presently am. In other words, I never think I've arrived. There is always another awakening. There is always another lotus to open, another opening. And you know, in that great lotus flower has its power from mud. And so a lot of my walk, a lot of my journey has been one foot in front of the other, trudging through what feels like mud, but the awakening, the awareness has been unprecedented, you know. And so I grew up, got out of high school somehow, played around with college. I always had a real propensity to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to work for anybody. I always wanted to work for myself, and I did. I figured it out. I had my own band, you know, at a very early age, and was on the road with my own band, and you know, without even knowing what the hell I was doing, because something was driving me. Something was driving me to stay in front. I didn't know what I was in front of, but something was always driving me to stay in the front. My disease of alcoholism has been the greatest gift, because see, it wasn't until I was able to be completely destroyed almost that I was able to be completely surrendered. Because for me, until I met that place of deep surrender, not 99.99.99999, but 100%, even beyond 100%. Until I got there, I could not stay sober. I could not stay that way. I could stay that way for a while, but something would always happen. I'd take control again. I would, and then it was over. And so I've been sober now 7 years, and it's interesting that, and this is part of my story, so I have to tell this in this platform. I don't always, so y'all are going to know a lot more about me than most people do. But, you know, Rowdy Girl Sanctuary is just a little over 5 years old. So I was just 2 years sober when I awakened to veganism. Yeah. And so you take that on top of, now I'm vegan and now I'm ready to just kick my husband to the curb and say, you know, no more of this. It was quite the awakening, you know, to really rely on my intuition at that time. But to just kind of back up a minute, from high school to the band to producing my own. I always produced other women in country music. And in the midst of all that, I became very engrossed in the yoga sciences. The reason why was because of a bad car crash I had because of my disease of alcoholism that just about paralyzed me from the neck down. And as a result, I discovered yoga from this little acupuncturist in San Antonio. And my world, I lived in 2 worlds. I lived in this world of duality. It was like, you know, I had this world where I was trying to be somebody. I was trying to prove to myself and to the world, to my family, to everybody around me that I was somebody. Because growing up at home, I was nobody. I was always fighting for my mother. I was literally that. And so when I busted out of that, all kind of tragedies started happening to me. I don't even know how I survived it, other than the divine feminine was always with me for sure. And I know now that it was all part of the journey, but something kept on the other side. The other world that I was living in was this essence of the feminine that kept showing me different ways to cope. You know, so even though I was living in a world of alcoholism and drug addiction, I was also bringing in the yoga sciences. I was also bringing in the meditation. I was doing them both at the same time. And what I know is that if you do that, if you're sincere, and I was, the yoga sciences, the powerful vibration and frequency of all the shabats, of the mantras, of the chanting, of the meditation, of the auric field, of the Akashic records, all of this pushes out the karmic debt. See? And so it was because, and I didn't know that. I was reading this and I was studying it. And on one level, I was internalizing it and I was understanding it. But on another level, I was still this pushy, go out there, get this done girl, really trying to make sense of it all. Until one day, finally, it all made sense. It's like finally, it all got pushed out. It all got pushed out. And I'm not saying there's not more to push out. Believe me, I'm sure there is. But I know that for me to be on the other side of all that, as the founder of Rowdy Girl Sanctuary and the Rancher Advocacy Program, that a lot has been pushed out, because there is no way that I could be standing right slap dab in the middle of a miracle like this if it hadn't. So I have deep reverence for the Divine Mother. I have deep reverence. That is my mother. My mother is my earth mother, my mother that conceived me, but my mother is this planet. My mother is where I'm rooted and grounded, and I will do any and everything in my life to protect her, just like I protected my own physical mother, which is why I will do whatever it takes in order to liberate the animals, to liberate farmers, to liberate the land, to liberate the families of these farmers, because that is the fabric of the problem. This deep wounding of our mother's soil, our mother's soul is wounded because of how the farmers have been, actually treating the land, taught to treat the land, taught to treat their families, taught to pass these traditions down generationally. And so here we are, guys. Here we are. What do we do? And so I don't know if y'all have questions, or I just feel like this is a good place to just take a breath and take a drink of my goji berry tea. So I don't know how long do you want me to speak on this, or do you have questions, or what, Jackie? I'm yours.
I'm also taking a breath because I thought you were wonderful before, and I'm just in awe of you and just so incredibly blessed that you are part of this conversation and guiding this. So beautiful. Thank you so much, sister. My heart. After you've had a minute to catch your breath and take a sip of your tea, I'd love for you to share, because my favorite story is when you share about that awakening you had when you heard the mothers outside, and you had that awakening and you confronted your husband about that question, the why. That's to me is the divine feminine in action.
Sure. That is certainly appropriate. Well, so in 2000 and October 31st, 2014 is when I went vegan. I think it was 14, or was it 15? No, it was 14. Yeah, it was 14. And on that day, it wasn't like one day I just decided I was going to go vegan. It wasn't like I had an animal activist with a sign. I wasn't at a vigil. I wasn't at an AV thing. I wasn't at a DXC thing. I didn't ever have any of that. Rowdy Girl herself is a cow. A lot of people misinterpret Rowdy Girl to be me, which I'll tell you, honestly, knowing what I know now because of the Divine Feminine, I know that she and I are the same. We're one. We are twins. Because she was my vegan advocate. Rowdy Girl, the cow, back then she was a little calf. My husband wanted me to get more involved with the day-to-day ranching at the farm. And at that time, I'm like, you do that, I'll meditate, I'll do my yoga classes and do the things I love to do, the music, whatever. You do the ranching, I'm really not into it, you know. And he and I were always having little arguments. I mean, not knockdown, drag-outs or anything, but he'd want me to open gates for him when he was taking a tractor through. He'd want me to help him feed the cows, and I didn't want to. And I'd do it sometimes begrudgingly, and I would just like, I don't want to do this. And, you know, I mean, they were just cows. I didn't see them. They were black animals in a pasture. I'd never connected. And then one day he comes home and he says, Renee, there's a rancher up the road, has a couple of calves that need a mama. And they don't have one. And thought maybe you might want to buy them and bring them home and bottle feed them. Take care of them. At that time, at that particular juncture, he and I were talking about adoption. And we were talking about, you know, because I could never have children. I'm not able to have kids. And so all of you and them and everybody are my kids now. I get that. But at that time, I was really wanting my own child. And it's so interesting. You know, we were going through all this stuff. Well, for Tommy, it was like, this is the next best thing. You know, you can't have kids, but maybe you can have a couple calves to take care of. So, boy, was he ever in for a surprise because those calves became my wake up. And little Bobo died very prematurely. She never could get her she never could make it. But Rowdy Girl thrived. She became my little bouncing bundle of joy. I loved bottle feeding her. I couldn't wait to go out there and feed her every morning and every evening. I just loved this calf. I didn't know why I loved this calf, but what happened was, now y'all have to, I think I can tell y'all this and y'all will understand it. I began to have a connection with Rowdy Girl that was very intuitive. When I was feeding Rowdy Girl, she was feeding me. A line of communication to the herd. I began to see things I'd never seen before. And if you're an artist, you know that the more you paint or the more you draw, the more you see. It's like the more you do it, the more you see it. And as I began to pay more and more attention to Rowdy Girl through the Divine Feminine, actually nurturing this calf as if she was my own child, she began to share with me the world of the bovine kingdom that was in my own backyard, and I never saw it. That awakening for me started everything because I couldn't unsee what I had been given through Rowdy Girl. And it began to really cause me to have an inner conflict. I'd have to unplug from Rowdy Girl. And when I unplugged from feeding Rowdy Girl, I'd have to go back to the world of being a rancher's wife. And I began to feel so torn. It was an unbelievable breakup inside of me. It was like parts of me were being shattered. I loved my husband. I always thought what we were doing was honorable. I mean, in Texas, when you have a cattle ranch, you know, that's a good, honorable thing to be doing. I mean, you feel, you're supposed to feel good about that. I started feeling horrible about it. And I started hating it. I mean, I don't like to even use that word, hate, but I don't even know another word. I began to feel so dirty, so ashamed, Every time we would send babies to the sale barn, I became more and more depressed because the visions I was getting through Rowdy Girl were getting vivider, if that's a word, more vivid. They were getting more vivid. And I literally think I was losing my mind. I mean, I wanted to spend time with the cows more than I wanted to spend time with my husband. And that's what started happening to me, is I began to become part of the herd. Literally. That's why I said me and Rowdy Girl really won. I mean, you know, I believe in past lives. I do. I'm not going to sit here and say that in a past life I was a cow or what. I don't know that to be a fact. But I do know that I understand cowness. I understand the language of the cows. And they are the most spiritual creatures, in my opinion, on this planet. Their connection to the earth, what they can bring to our own wake up. I mean, I thought I was so spiritual until I met Rowdy Girl. And then that's when my real spiritual journey began. Because through all of that, it took 4 years of me going nuts to finally tell my husband no more. And so I kept trying to do it humanely. I kept trying to figure out a way. I would have these arguments with my husband, like, you know, is there any way, you know, that we can get out of this business? I mean, I don't really want to do this anymore. I was trying to just not have to do it, you know, not have to see it. If I don't have to see it, I don't have to deal with it. And he wasn't having it. And so I said, well, you know, this was over a period of time, and me doing a lot of research, because I'm the type of person that I want to know, and I'm not one of these people that doesn't want to know. So I began to stumble on things like humane meat and humane milk and humane eggs and humane this and that and the other. And so I said, you know, I want to start getting our own milk from a dairy, local dairy, and we did. We started getting our milk from a dairy up the road. And it was a very small farm. And when the milk came to our doorstep, it had Molly's name, Della's name, Judy's name. So I knew that when I drank that milk, who I was drinking it from, as if that made any difference. But for me, it made me feel better until I learned the next thing. And so as I began to try to do this, I then began to stumble upon things like humane meat. And how that if you raise your own cows and you slaughter them yourself, you're doing it more humanely. And we always sent our cows to the sale barn, you know. I mean, we had all these cows out there that were humanely grown in the grass, yet we never ate our own cows. So one day I went to my husband and I said, Tommy, why are we eating our own cows? How come we send them to the sale barn, yet we buy, you know, meat from HEB? And he was like, I don't want to answer that question. I said, well, I want the answer. And he said, Renee, I don't want to answer that question. I said, why don't we slaughter our own animals for meat? And he said, all right, if you really want to know, I'll tell you, but I don't want to talk about it again. And I said, what is that? He said, because I know them. I can't eat animals I know. Well, he was honest. And that honesty led me to where I'm at today. Because I said right out loud, I don't, you know, I didn't mince words. I said, that is effed up. So we can eat the cows from the store, but we're not going to go out there and slit the throat of one of our own cows, butcher it and eat that one because we know him or her. How messed up is that? And he said, Renee, don't question it. I said, I'm questioning it. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find people in our neighborhood that'll go in with us and help us slaughter one of our cows. Because the only way I can feel good about staying in this business is if we're going to slaughter one of our own. He said, Renee, you've lost your mind. I said, no, that's the only way I'm going to be able to keep my sanity is to do this the best way that I know how. And that's, at the time, made sense to me. As crazy as it is, this is the process that I went through. And Anyway, I did that. I went about trying to find the people, and I went to my husband and I said, okay, so which one's it going to be? I've got 4 or 5 people here willing to do it. Which cow are we going to slaughter? And he was like, well, I guess if I had to pick one, it would be Lucky. And I went, Lucky? And he said, yeah. I said, why him? He said, because he skipped the trailer. This is Rowdy Girl's firstborn son, Lucky. He missed the trailer one day. He jumped out of it, obviously, for very, very important reasons. He wanted to save his life. And he really hurt his leg really bad and really swelled up. So he always had this limp. And so he said, you know, he's not going to make it anyway. He's going to break down and end up going lame. We might as well choose him. I said, okay, Lucky it is. Well, that never happened, because that brought me all the way to here. Because when I started looking into what I was going to have to do to slaughter Lucky, I stumbled onto veganism. See, it was a process. And when I started stumbling into veganism, my entire world shattered. I couldn't make sense of anything. I'm married to a cattle rancher, yet I'm learning all this stuff. And at first I didn't believe it. First I thought it was all lies or just propaganda. They're just saying all this stuff. This ain't true. There's actors out there, you know, doing me. A lot of people still think that way. I thought that way. And I couldn't stop doing the research. And I began to feel like I'm a murderer. And I began to feel like I was contributing to massacre of beings that didn't want to die. And I felt like I was taking blood money. And me and my husband were having ferocious fights. And I wasn't vegan. I didn't even know I was going vegan. I didn't consider going vegan. I'm married to a cattle rancher, but I was just doing the research. I didn't even think it was possible. So as everything moved to a head, on October 31st, 2014, I stumbled upon a dissertation by Melanie Joy on carnism. Have you seen it? Let me see your hands if you have. Yeah. So that dissertation on carnism is what completely broke me. I saw this whole story. The story is, for those of you that haven't seen it, is this family is sitting around a table. They're enjoying a bowl of beef stew. And everybody's enjoying and savoring the beef stew. And then somebody says, what's the recipe? And the lady of the house says, well, you start off with a pound of very young golden retriever. So everybody's mid-bite, and they can't even put the food in their mouth, and they want to spit it out and throw it up. Well, you know, that didn't set well with me. I was like, I've been doing all this research, all this stuff, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh. I mean, I literally thought, oh my God, I could be eating my dog. I could be eating my grandma's butt and not know it. I mean, I mean, who knows what you're eating in those chopped up pieces of flesh? This started to occur to me. I mean, here I am married to a cattle rancher, and all of a sudden I had this thought that I've never had before, that I could be eating anybody. As soon as I heard that, I watched it, and I was just kind of in a weird headspace that whole day. It was Halloween. We were going to my mother-in-law's that night, because every year we always went there, because the kids, the nieces, the nephews, the family all went there to have a big little family dinner, because there was a parade that came through town, a little block party parade with all the kids in their Halloween costumes. So that was our deal every year. So here we go to my grandmother's, my mother-in-law's house. God rest her soul. We walk in, and I immediately knew something was up. I could feel something happening. My mother-in-law walks through the house with a big old pot of beef stew. See, Divine Mother is very interesting. She was determined to wake me up. And she used this one opportunity. This was the only moment. I mean, it couldn't have been any better, any more clear to me when that beef stew came out. And my mother-in-law says, and everybody's out. The kids are, you know, in their costumes. Everybody's chattering and laughing and playing. And the you know, and I just was like, my eyes were wide open. My mother-in-law said, Renee, would you like a bowl of stew? And I said, no, ma'am, I can't eat that. And I just was like, it was just coming out. And she says, well, why not, Renee? And I said, because it's got floating dead, hacked up animal bodies in it. And oh my God, the room got quiet. Everyone stopped talking and looked at me. And I was like, what? And my mother-in-law said, what did you say? It's got floating dead, hacked up animal bodies in it. Can't you see that? And they said, Renee, my mother-in-law, you can pick it out. And I said, no, ma'am, there is no more picking it out for me. I went vegan that moment. It was about 7:30 p.m. on October 31st, 2014. I remember the threshold that the Divine Mother brought me into this world. I remember it vividly. It was like a rebirth. It was like a birth that I've never, ever, ever had and probably never will have again. That was the moment that I think I fully became human. I don't know what I was before that. I mean, humans have so much more potential than they're capable, that they're capable of, that they never, ever even touch. But that was the moment for me. I'm not vegan for my health. I'm not vegan for the environment. I'm vegan because it's wrong to dice up, slice up, slit throats, and kill animals and put them in a bowl and eat them. That's just freaking wrong. And see, and it became real clear to me in that moment. It all just came to a head. Well, it was on. There was no more skirting around it. I was vegan, and I didn't even know I was going vegan that day. But and Tommy was like, "Oh my God, Renee, what just happened?" I said, "I'm vegan, and all the meat, anything in our house." I said, "You better get it every bit of it out, because if you don't, I'm throwing it out. There ain't no more animal products in my house." I said, "About those deer heads on our wall," I said, "I want them out of my house. I'm not going to live in a morgue." He was like, "Renee, you have lost your mind." I said, "Maybe I have, thank God." I said, "Because now I got a new one. I got a new mind. I got a new thing happening here. Ain't going to be no more of that." And so anyway, me and my husband almost divorced. It became a real battle, if you will. It was real difficult. But now he's vegan. He went vegan instead. And, you know, and it's because I didn't let up, you know. I wasn't one of those wives when I went vegan with a cattle rancher that tolerated it. I was not tolerant at all. I was like, I ain't having this. It's like, it's wrong. It's ethically wrong. If you're gonna eat meat, then I'm hanging out there with the cows, and you won't even see me at all. I'll just go live with them. And and that's pretty much what I was doing a lot anyway. I was wherever the cows went. When I went vegan, I could not get enough of the cows. It was like I was being baptized or something in the spirit of cow energy, because all I wanted to do was be with them. I walked with them. I talked with them. I sat with them. I laid with them. They began to trust me so much. They came into my space. They began to put their head down. I could stroke them. I could sleep with them. Wherever they journeyed, I journeyed. I walked their walk. I talked their talk. I heard them. I listened. And now, quite frankly, I am the voice of our herd here at Rowdy Girl Sanctuary. And everything I'm doing is a result of the messages I've been given by Rowdy Girl and the rest of these animals, these cows here. I spend a lot of time in communion with them when nobody's around. And that is my source of sanity and strength. But when I told my husband that day, and this happened, a lot of things started to really shake up. And he was wanting to send these cows to the sale barn one last time. I told him he ain't going to do it. I said, you know, February 2014 was the last time our cows went to sale. So March, April, May, June, July, August, September 2014, my husband retired from Dow Chemical. He thought his life was going to be forever beautiful and you know, and he was going to go metal detecting around the world, and he was going to have this life. Well, 1 month later, his wife goes vegan, and his life has never been the same. You know, hey, the Divine Mother has a plan, and it ain't going to be the plan of your 40 years in Dow Chemical and what you think is your retirement. That didn't happen. So what really happened as a result of that was me telling my husband out in the field one day. He was trying to, this was right before, you know, right before everything happened for him. He was trying to just sell the whole herd. He was just going to get out of the business because I was making his life completely intolerable. He didn't know what to do. All of his rancher friends were laughing at him. I wouldn't let him sell the cows. And he was going to do it anyway one day. And I just said to him, Tommy, if you send those calves up to the sale barn one more time, I will follow that trailer. I will go to the sale barn. I will buy them all back with your credit card, and I will bring them all back. Because, see, I could not tolerate one more time the mothers crying. When those babies went to sale, the mothers would look at me, look at their babies. I could see this total look of betrayal. I could feel the total disbelief in their souls that we were taking their babies from them. And when this trailer of calves would go out the road, we had a big, long 1.5 mile fence line up Highway 35. And when that red trailer took that turn, those cows, those mamas, followed up that fence line as far as they could, chasing that red trailer. I can never, ever not know that I contributed to that. The suffering of those beings. Telling this story is never easy. It never, ever is easy. To know that I contributed to a mother's grief in that way. To know that their children were trapped and locked into a trailer. And betrayed by us. I still see their faces. I still mourn for every single face, every eye I see, every tear I saw shed. I still mourn that loss. And there's a song I wrote, it's called The Red Trailer, and you can, it's on my YouTube. But it's all about this, and it has a happy ending. Because there ain't no more red trailers going up the road. That don't happen anymore. You know, we are a saving grace home for all of these animals. They are like our family, and they will forever be. And I will forever be a voice for them, for all cows around the world. My biggest mission on this planet right now, and I need help with it, is to get land. We need land trusts. We need to get land. Mother Earth is pushing me forward to get land trusts in place so that when these mass exoduses occur of these cows, these pigs, these large herd animals, they deserve to be on the land. We need a new sanctuary model. Even sanctuaries themselves are not the right place for these animals that are herd animals. These herd animals need to be on thousands and thousands of acres. They need to be fed by Mother Earth herself. The Divine Feminine has beautifully orchestrated the planet in such a way where the grasses, the herbs, the trees, the shrubs, all in the various geographic locations of this planet are perfectly suited for these animals. They know what to eat. They know when to eat. They know how to eat. They know how to graze. They do not need human interference. How dare we interfere with the lives of these herd animals? How dare we be so arrogant as a species to think this is right? And so it is my mission to get this land, to figure it out. Anybody that wants to help me with this project, I need it now for these 240 cows for the Barretts. We've got to find land for them. This business model is about to start. And now we must get land for these 240 cows. I'm trying to get land trust in Arkansas for them, because the philanthropy is running out on these cows. That we can't forever feed cows like you would feed them in a feedlot. And that's basically what we're having to do when you have 240 cows on 200 acres. These 240 cows need to be on at least 2,000 or 3,000 acres, at least minimum. So we got to give the animals back to the land. It's going to be a new model. They don't need humans to feed them. They don't need humans to vaccinate them, except that they're confined. That's the reason they need all these shots and deworming, is because they're confined. They just need to be left alone. Mother Earth will take care of them. But then it's going to be incumbent upon us. Instead of taking care of the animals on this land, we got to take care of the planet. We got to take care of our mother. We got to make sure that the land is remediated and restored. And that is what is so loud in me right now. And I appreciate you asking me to speak today. I had no idea what I was going to say, but I know that whatever was supposed to come out is out. And now it's incumbent upon all of you to also jump on board and help me realize this mission, because this is our mission. I'm just speaking it out loud. Thank you.
Wow, Renee, thank you so much for sharing your story and allowing your truth to come out, and that vulnerability. It's really important. And interesting how we all have these callings, you know, and through struggle and crisis and trauma, we find the threads to follow what our true destiny and paths are on the planet, especially at this time. And I wanted to ask you a question. I also wanted to share a story. So my personal path, since I'm a little child, has been protecting and freeing wildlife. And I continue to do that. And I grew up in Belgium, well, in Europe, and I spent many years in Belgium. And in Flanders, there are also cattle ranchers. And I studied djembe, which is a kind of drum from Senegal, from Africa. And I was working on a project. I'm an artist, so I was working on an art project out in the flatlands of Flanders. And there was a huge field full of cows. And I thought, oh, I'm going to take my drum out there and play to these cattle. So I did. I took my drum out and I started beating it, you know, the heartbeat of mother. I didn't think of it like that at the moment. I was just beating. And the whole entire herd got up and came forward to me. And they were so in the beat of the drum, they were pushing against the fence. And then they all sat down and just listened. And I felt that connection immediately between this heartbeat and this drum and my presence and their presence. It was just an extraordinary experience. One thing I wanted to ask you was, and this comes through, again, my own experience. When I was in Moscow, Russia, for a year working on a big art project, the site that I was working on, I'm a very intuitive person and I feel energy very, very profoundly. And there was one part of this building where the energy was very perturbed. And I meditated, and what I saw was that people had been tortured and died on that site. And I went to my project manager and I said, there's been a lot of trauma here. I can feel it. And he kind of mocked me at the time. And I said, we need to do something to heal this. We need to do a ceremony. We need to smudge and we need to pray about this. And he laughed at me. And so I said, well, you're going to see, well, you know, that there is a problem here. I don't know how, but somehow this is going to express itself. These huge slabs of marble, it was going to be a restaurant and it was going to be the bar. These huge slabs of 2-inch or 1.5-inch thick marble arrived from France. They'd come by train, so it took many months to get there. And as the builders are bringing the slabs of marble to put them down on the wood carcassing, as soon as the marble landed on the wood in that spot, the marble exploded into 1,000 pieces. And I just stood there going, oh my goodness. And I said, well, there you are. Here is evidence that there is trauma here. We need to heal this. So my question to you is, in slaughterhouses that are being decommissioned and in areas where animals have been removed from their families, have been trailered to their deaths, are you doing healing ceremonies? If you're not, is this something you could foresee doing, or is this something we can also inspire people to do? Smudging, asking for forgiveness, drumming, chanting, in whatever form, to heal the land and to heal the trauma from what has gone on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question, and thank you for sharing your experience that way. It reminds me of, when we first became a sanctuary, I went out, I did this for several weeks with another healer, because I too feel the energy of the earth just like that. And we brought the drums, we brought the singing bowls, we brought all sorts of instruments that are designed to, break through the blocks and the bad energy that is there, because our land had been, desecrated, and, with animals that have been slaughtered for generations there. And we did many, many weeks of ritual. I also got several different crystals. I was consulting with a woman that was helping me get the exact combination of stones so that I could also put those on the land. So I did that and continue to inspire my own self to move in that direction during this very, very difficult time. Thank you. Is it Jaman? What is your first name? Jamin?
So my name is Melissa, and Jamin is his computer we're using. This is Jamin. And my name is Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa, for reminding me that it's time to begin doing this again, and in a very deep way. What I've been doing, just so you all know, what I've been doing is my phone, my messages. I mean, people all over the world reach out to me because of the pain that they're in about all this. And so I've been doing a lot of one-on-one, just talking to people and helping people understand that, what we need to do right now is get more land. I mean, we can do everything we can to meditate in this direction for the current crisis that we're in with all these animals exiting the food system. But we will have no solutions until we get more land. Sanctuaries cannot contain the onslaught of all of these animals. Traditional sanctuaries, we may be able to take a few chickens here and there, but we cannot in any way begin to expect sanctuaries to figure out how to take on 50, 20, 100, 200 animals, to even think about it, to even put their brain into trying to figure this out during this time of this pandemic that we're all under, and all the immense financial pressure the sanctuaries are feeling. It's way too much. And so I would be honored to participate in a prayer meditation circle, and whatever we need to do in order to begin to expand that awareness and be that channel of healing that not only the animals need, but our planet needs, so that we can open up the energy proportionately to the souls, the humans that are on this planet, that resonate to this message that we've got to give land back to the animals. Because I really do believe that there's people out there right now that have the answers to the questions I have. I believe that. See, I'm not the type of person that sees problems. I see solutions. I am a solution-driven person. See, I know we got to have land. People will tell me, well, how are you going to do that? That's no way. I said, you know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep believing it. I'm going to keep seeing it. I'm not going to give up, because for me, these animals must have land. And there's plenty of it. It's just being used wrong. So the answer is yes. I will certainly be a part of that, and it's time, and I certainly know how. I've done many, many, many ceremonies such as this for the planet, on the earth. You know, my background in spirituality is very immense. You know, I've even studied Wiccan in my life, you know, and so I'm not the type of person that is prejudiced about religion at all. I see all aspects, and I believe strongly in ritual. Thank you.
And I'd like to suggest, I think that's such a beautiful idea, and Jackie and Jamin and Myra and everyone, I'd like to open this up to all of us for discussion. If we, on our Fridays, begin with a prayer circle where we can all come together and say prayer, or however we want to do this, focused on a specific aspect of where we want change, and this visualization of what we want to see transformed and change. Because as it was said, if more than one of you pray in my name, you know, it's like a battery, right? The more amps you put in it, the stronger the effect. So I'd like to open that up as a suggestion. I'd be perfectly happy to guide that if you want, or Jackie, I don't know about yourself, probably you would be an awesome person also to guide that. And we start these drumming, praying, asking for forgiveness. I know the First Nations, we live here in the Northwest. We have a big problem with the Chinook salmon who are endangered now, and the orca whales. They are taking their drums up to the Snake River dams and drumming and asking the salmon for forgiveness. I think we need to start doing this. That's one thing. And the second thing is Jamin invited Allan Savory to this platform. He was in conversation with Dr. Silas Rao. And I believe he's said that he was open to looking into the idea of creating sanctuaries for cattle. And he has, Jamin can talk more about that, an idea where the cattle can be helpful to restore areas that are under desertification. So I think we need to get you together with Allan Savory in conversation to, I think he's very well connected. He knows a lot of people. Again, Jamin can talk more about it than I can because he knows him, I do not. But I think this could possibly be a good match. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
And beautiful, sweetheart. Awesome idea. Myra has her hand up,
yes,
but I wanted to give Renee maybe an opportunity. Do you know Allan Savory? Do you know of his work, etc.?
Yes, I know of his work. I do not know him, but I know of his work. I can't think of where all I have run into his work, and maybe I even met him, because I've met a lot of people that I don't even honestly remember meeting in through the years. So thank you. Yeah, I think it's great. Thank you. This is awesome.
All right, well, let's work on that then, definitely.
And actually, sorry, Myra, if you would just patienter one more second. Thanks, sweetie. I think we should get you two in conversation on this platform. Let's do it in public, you know? All right, Myra, thank you so much for being so patient.
Hi, everybody. Well, I'm up for any type of meditations or ancestral dancing or chanting. I'm up for it. So count on me. We can probably even invite Deva Baumbach, and it will be a blessing. I'm pretty sure if we schedule with her, she will be okay. And she's an expert in the divine feminine and doing all these circular dancings and chanting. But anyways, I wanted to comment to Renee. From the moment that Jackie did the whole promotion on social media, maybe not promotion, but it's more like networking and diffusion. And I don't know why your name just resonated with me. There was no picture of you, but the name just resonated. And last night, as I was walking with my kids to the park, which is like a routine that I have to go meditate, and sometimes I do a little bit of asanas. So I take my kids, and all of a sudden, my 7-year-old starts telling me, he looks at me and he says, "Mom, my daddy told me already that he's gonna take you to court again, and that he wants me to spend more time with you more time with him than with you. He just wants me to spend about a day with mama and with my brothers. He has no brothers at his dad's house." And I looked at him and I'm like, "Baby, and are you okay with that?" And he says, "Well, I don't know, Mama. My son at that age, he's 7 years old. They're very materialistic. A lot of the times when we tell them, 'Oh, I bought you a tablet,' and all of a sudden they tell you they love you and they want to be with you." So his dad has the options of buying a lot of stuff for him. I don't. All I can give him is love. And obviously feed him the best I can and show him the path of love. So when we come back home, I remember that back in the day, a few months ago, Jackie had told me about a story of a cow, which I had seen it. And it broke my heart. And yesterday I wanted to show my son that same video, just to let him know that it's not right for a father to try to steal away the time and the precious time that a mother has with her son. And I wanted to show it to him in an animal way, in the most precious way of a cow, how she protects her babies, and how the babies, they cuddle with her and they feed from her. And one video took me to another one and another one. And without me being aware, we stopped and saw one of your videos, and I had no idea it was you, the person that we were going to talk to today. And it showed so much awakening to my son, understanding that it's not right for nobody to try to take away time, for nobody to try to steal a baby from any type of woman, any type of female. It doesn't matter whether you're a human or you're an animal. And as we were laying down in bed and we were done watching the video, there was a video, and I even saw your husband there, where you guys put on a trailer and then the cow is following the trailer. And at nighttime, my son, he lays down next to me, and he always cuddles with me, and he puts his head under my armpits. And I tell him, "Baby, does your dad hugs you like this at nighttime?" He's like, "No, Mommy." And I'm like, "Well, then think what you want to answer to your dad next time your dad answers you that. Because there's no other thing more similar than a mama giving love to her baby. Never. It won't be compared." And I wanted to share that with you, because without me realizing that I was going to be here with you, and it's just a complete honor, because in a way your video helped me explain my son this whole scenario. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Myra. And Benjamin, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I am so grateful for this conversation today. Renee, thank you so much for showing up and contributing to this this beautiful forum for the Divine Feminine. You're such a huge inspiration for me and my partner, Suzanne. She had to run to another meeting, but both of us have been on this path of aligning our actions with our values and keep peeling back that onion of veganism, where that veganism is only that outer peel, and you can keep on going further and further and keep taking steps towards advocacy and activism that you never would have dreamed of when you first went vegan. And I just really appreciate hearing your journey, because it's so powerful in terms of where you began. And just being able to share this story, I think is it's so incredibly important. And I just wanted to thank you from every part of my being for the work that you're doing, and for all the work that everybody here is doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Benjamin. Let's see, anyone else have anything they'd like to ask or say?
Myles.
Oh, Myles.
Wow, thank you very much, Renee. My name's Myles, and so it had to be a bit of a synchronicity. I met Khushbu, and Khushbu in India, her name means happy fragrance, and she started us off with a prayer in Sanskrit, and she shared that her name means happy fragrance once before, and that made me stop to think about, well, what's my name actually mean? And Myles apparently means mild soldier. So there could be other interpretations, but one of them is mild soldier. So I sometimes wonder why I get so choked up and teary-eyed. And I guess if I'm a mild soldier, it makes kind of sense. Now, it was raised that we should begin with prayer and meditation. And to that end, it occurred to me to introduce a few things. But first of all, I want to explain, or state, not explain. I'm not a Christian, and that's a long explanation as to why. But I do find inspiration in the Bible. And here's some of the things that I want to share. So the Bible's been translated many, many times. And apparently in Sanskrit, I believe, one of the ancient languages of the original scriptures, the name Eve, which in so many Bibles is translated as helper, which is rather a subservient word, right? It's got a derogatory connotation to say that Eve is Adam's helper. In Sanskrit, apparently it actually meant rescuer. So the divine feminine is an Eve, is a rescuer for Adam. So that's number one. Number two, the Holy Spirit, again, contrary to a lot of translations, is not a masculine pronoun. It's actually, in the original text, Holy Spirit is a feminine pronoun. And, you know, some people say, well, it actually has no gender. Well, okay, whichever, but it's been by error of either commission or omission, often denoted as a masculine pronoun, but Holy Spirit is really feminine. So that was number 2. Number 3, I just discovered this, or it just occurred to me, and in Romans 14, I think it's verse 20. If I can just get my glasses here. Sorry. It says, talks about not putting stumbling blocks in front of people. So in other words, to me, that means, all right, you know, some people are going to be eating meat, and it's not my job to like grab the food from their mouth. But what it is to be, I think, emphasized is that it is better not to eat meat or drink wine or do anything else that will cause your brother to fail. And it says, I'm trying to find it, but it basically says in here, do not eat anything that will cause the earth damage. I'm going to try to find that verse. It's here, but anyway, I just wanted to raise those 3 things. It's actually scriptural that we're not to cause damage to the planet, and we can't do that anymore by eating meat, dairy, and eggs. But thank you very much for your very inspirational presentation.
Thank you so much, Myles. I'm going to call on Sarah in a second. I also want to add, because often we forget to bring it into our conversation, even though we are aware of this, that we also need to slow down, stop taking wild habitats. We need to restore wild habitats. We need to protect the wildlife as well. We often focus on domesticated animals, which is beautiful, but we need to give land back to Mother Earth to restore it. And we also need to stop consuming single-use plastic and all this stuff as well. Stop eating meat and stop consuming single-use plastic, which is choking this planet to death. So Sarah, you are up next. Thanks.
Hey, Renee, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I appreciate always hearing your story. And this was a little bit more detailed than I've heard before in the past. So I appreciate you being vulnerable and just being honest in everything that you achieved. And it's just incredible. I feel like I know you better now, which is cool. So for those of you that don't know, Renee was also a part of Vegan World 2026, the first year. And she couldn't come this past year because, of course, she's busy. But what I wanted to say about that is a lot of people, she did mention RAP, Ranchers Advocacy Program. So many of you are probably not familiar with this or maybe familiar with it on the surface level. But I would just invite you guys to join the Ranchers Advocacy Program. And Renee can tell you a little bit more about it, I'm sure, but it's basically helping people that want to convert over because they feel like, oh, maybe I inherited my grandfather's land, and like Jamin, maybe he did, and he doesn't know what to do with it, right? Because he doesn't want to be taking all these chickens, and he don't want to deal with that. He's a tech person. So switching it over, doing mushroom farming or some type of other farming, hemp farming, whatever it has to be. And then, like Renee said, getting the land for the animals to go onto, because putting them in sanctuaries is just extremely, it's just really, really expensive to, just right now, Renee's raising money for her herd right now. We did a poetry jam challenge recently about that. So Melissa, you, even though it's May 1st, you could still enter your poem. You know, it's not a contest, even though I thought it was a contest. It's just for fun, and we're giving the donation. Jane Unchained News is giving the donation to Renee. So yeah, just, we really need to help her, because when we talk about sanctuaries, we're not talking about like typical sanctuaries where you go pet animals and stuff. We're talking about, like, this is major. Like she said, these cows were supposed to go to slaughter, but since they didn't, they're having to eat a lot. So it's not just like going and giving them some apples and stuff. They eat a lot. So yeah, just enjoyed hearing you again, Renee, and your elaboration on everything and the details that you gave. And it was just beautiful. And yeah, just join the Ranchers Advocacy Program. And you don't worry, you don't need to know anything about ranching. Just become part of the herd so that you can be heard.
Nice, Sarah. Thank you. There's a question from someone about your poetry slam. How do we find out about that?
You can go to Jane Unchained News Instagram, or you can go to Jane Unchained Facebook, or I can post something in the base camp. But I thought something was already posted in the base camp. Anyway,
Okay.
but yeah, I went on as Edgar Allan Pig. And,
Not everyone's on base camp here, so that's
I didn't post it on this base camp.
No, sorry, not everyone on the platform here is.
Oh, okay, good point.
So you post something in the chat, or it looks like Benjamin did actually posted something in the chat.
Okay, and Renee, I guess you didn't know Jamin because Jamin was at this year's Vegan 2026. So that's why I kept thinking, how come Renee didn't know Jamin is at Vegan 2026? But then I remember you were at the first one, but not Jamin. Yeah, cool. You should tell her about the food thing, Jamin, Renee, about the food app.
Yeah, well,
because she would be good at that.
You know, in half an hour, right at the end, as soon as the Divine Feminine 2-hour segment ends, in half an hour, we start the next 2-hour segment, which is all about food and the K-Mama app and Operation Stone Soup and eradicating hunger worldwide simultaneously with the world going vegan and simultaneously with ending pandemics. So it's a 3-in-1 proposition. Anyway, that meeting starts in half an hour. Just stick around. Don't change the channel is my only request. And we'll flow right into that. Thank you.
Wonderful, Jamin. Myles has his hand up again. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. My brain gets overwhelmed and blocked up, and I couldn't find what I was looking for. But it's Romans 14, verse 20, and it says this: do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. Let me repeat. Do not destroy the work of God for the sake of food. Period. Full stop. Is there anything clearer than such a statement? Thank you, Renee, for your story. It's very powerful.
Yeah, Jackie, take it away.
I am so humbled by your story and your honesty. And to me, that is exactly what exemplifies the Divine Feminine. It's the courage to live in truth. It's the courage not to be deceived. It's the courage not to be influenced, right? It's the courage to stand in truth and do whatever we need to do to maintain that truth and that integrity of who we are as human beings. And it wasn't until last session where and I'm a World Peace Diet facilitator. I've taken all his courses, love Will Tuttle. He's worked with us several times, but it wasn't until last week when he was talking about the fierceness of the Divine Feminine to protect at all costs that really started resonating with me and made me look back on my history and my journey and realizing that I've been fighting my whole life like you. Like I've had these awakenings like you have to bring us to where we are, and the blessings in all of those challenges, that fertile ground where my brother says we were born into a cesspool of the family. Like that was the muck and the mud that we grew out of. But I realized I thought all this time that the feminine within me was that inner wisdom, it was that intuition, and that the masculine was the actual outside creating. And I was like, my gosh, I've had it wrong all this time. All of this fighting has been to defend and protect all that was not protected within me as a child. All of that I feel was pilfered from me, was stolen from me. That's what I went out and I protected, because I couldn't do it for myself as a child. But as a grown-up, I went back to my child and I told her, you are protected because I'm here. And now I can take that on the outside. And I realized that that divine feminine that rose within me to raise my inner girl, so that I can come and I can actualize the beauty and divinity potential within me, that now I can go out and I can defend at all costs. A child's right to be, a child's right to be educated naturally, the animals, the earth. Like I will not stop. I will give my life. I will give it all to defend the right to be. And I didn't realize that now. So to be in this forum with this community of the divine feminine arising, and within men, within women, all of us coming together to say no more. We refuse to be manipulated. We refuse to be illusioned. We refuse. We are living in truth. We are human beings and we love. And this is our superpower. This is our strength. This is the divine feminine. So the courage you had to share and that vulnerability to say, I'm not any of those things. I experienced those. I went through that journey. I went through that life so that I can be here for the animals, so I can feel, so I can live, so I can be truly a human being and empathize and be compassionate. Because the world we're born into makes us forget our humanity. So sometimes it takes a lot of pain to break through all those illusions to remember who we are. So thank you so much for sharing that, because that is all our obligation, is to be in truth and be courageous enough to stand in that truth. So thank you again.
Yeah, Renee, would you like to add anything else at this?
Well, I'm just in such great reflection. You know, hearing all of you, all of your warm comments, and it just touches me so much. And I'm so grateful. I'm very accessible. I put my phone number and my email in the chat. I will leave you with two of my most important principles. I am never too busy. You will never hear me say I'm too busy, because it's just a lie. I'm productive. I am very productive. And I can also be very non-productive if I need to take care of myself. But even that is productive, because I'm productive for my own inner self. But I will never say I'm too busy. I think that's a real problem with humans. I don't think animals will ever tell you they're busy, not even with their mannerisms. They just are. The other thing is, you will never hear me say that I don't have time, that I'm running out of time, that I'll try to make time or ask somebody else if they have time, because that's just all an illusion. We all have the same amount of minutes in the day, and I just don't use those words. I don't think in terms of time. I think in terms of right here, right now, and it's not cliche for me. In fact, I really think in terms of between the seconds. I live between the seconds, because I've been through 3 floods. I've had to evacuate animals to get to where I'm at 3 years out of 4. I know that I'm being conditioned for something, and now this pandemic. And so what? You know, it's like this is This is my life. This is why I'm here on this planet right now, is to be able to go through these challenges, not become consumed by them, but to go through them and to be strengthened as a result. You know, my name Renee means reborn, and that is really what's happened to me. And my spiritual name, given to me by my guru, which is Swami Satchidananda, is Sangita, which is music from the heavens. So I love to kind of combine those two, because I'm reborn, and you know what I hear now is the music from the heavens. I resonate to that sound, and forget time, forget busy. Who cares? We can just make up all kind of stories. We can be busy doing nothing. And so, I mean, so you know, I love that verse. And if you do want to support, you know, the Rancher Advocacy Program or the work we do, please just reach out to me. I'm happy to plug you in that way. Of course, we need it. All nonprofits do. But thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. If everyone's okay with that, I feel this is a moment for another poem that kind of summarizes really this place we've arrived at, called revelation or transformation. This is by one of my favorite poets. He actually lives on Whidbey Island here. His name is David Whyte. He's Welsh originally. It's called Revelation Must Be Terrible. Revelation must be terrible, with no time left to say goodbye. Imagine that moment, staring at still waters with only the brief tremor of your body to say you are leaving everything and everyone you know behind. Being far from home is hard, but you know, at least we are exiled together. When you open your eyes to the world, you are on your own for the first time. No one is even interested in saving you now, and the world steps in to test the calm fluidity of your body from moment to moment, as if it believed you could join its vibrant dance of fire and calmness and final stillness. As if you were meant to be exactly where you are, as if, like the dark branch of a desert river, you could flow on without a speck of guilt, and everything, everywhere, would still be just as it should be. As if your place in the world mattered, and the world could neither speak nor hear the fullness of its own bitter and beautiful cry without the deep well of your body resonating in the echo. Knowing that it takes only that one terrible word to make the circle complete. Revelation must be terrible, knowing you can never hide your voice again. And that is called Fire in the River by David Whyte. James has his hand up.
Thanks. Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well to Renee for that. I really enjoyed that, and it did touch base with me as well a lot, in particular her early life story in relation to her father being an alcoholic. And I just spoke with Jackie there and my sister last week with my own daughter Stephanie, and conversation kind of went that way as well, unexpectedly to me. But yeah, I had similar experiences. I won't say, like, I can't say they were the same, obviously, but if you know, if you've been in that situation, then they're all similar, really. Like, and I suppose all I wanted to do during my life was, as I said to Jackie, I just wanted to be the opposite. I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be a father and get married and have a family and everything else, and I wanted to be a good father, and you know, but everything seemed to, as much as I wanted that when I was younger, everything turned out opposite again to that way of thinking when I got older, and I ended up, you know, with a drink problem myself, and I had to go for treatment for that, and you know, but that was later on in life, shortly after my parents died, I suppose. But point is that you know, I still ended up going down that road, even though I ended up having a child out of marriage before that, and you know, I'm a single parent. I still ended up having my family anyways. What I ended up with the conversation with Jackie last weekend, our sister, and that was what, I suppose that was what resonates with me, is that you know, as much as we want when we're younger, we don't really see what paths are being chosen for us. And it's only now that or even recently during these conversations, I see that it was all in divine order, and that, well, as you said yourself, Renee, I just didn't see it myself that well, like at the time. So yeah, I just wanted to share that and say that that's where it resonated with me, and thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you so much, James. So I'm going to pass the mic back to Renee. I think we're coming up to the closure of this segment, and I believe you have another meeting now coming up. So Jackie, if you want to say final words, and Renee, we'd love to hear from you before you say see you later. Thank you for being here with us.
This has been amazing. This has been absolutely amazing, much more than I could have dreamed. You are, Renee, you are my soul sister, and I carry you deep in my heart. What an honor. What an honor to know you and walk this path with you. And to begin this session with Khushbu, my heart chakra just exploded listening to her. I mean, with every breath she took, I just felt that radiation coming, and it set the stage for the beauty that we shared and the connection that we made. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Renee, but I have heard you sing. And I was just wondering if you would grace us before you leave with a verse of your song. I would just love to share that your art with everyone.
Sure. Oh, thank you, Jackie. You're my, you know, you're my soul sister too, girl. I'll tell you what, I know we got great work, all of us. You know, what resonates with me right now in sharing a song is this. But before I start, I will just ask everyone to bring their hands to Namaste position. I'm resonating to the sound of the spirit in the forest and the trees, vibrating to eternal rhythms, where the mystery unfolds magically. Somewhere in between space and time, tangled neath the brambles and the briars, there's a memory of another space and time. And I'm on my way to soaring into the light. I'm awakening from a dream, and I'm remembering the messages given to me. Embrace your heart, go forth and share the mystery. The world's ready now for you to do what you're here to do. The planetary signs are aligned. You're right on time. Thank you guys so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, my honor. Thank you.
And come
I'll talk
back.
to you. I
Sorry.
will. No, I'll be back. Y'all are my tribe. I found my people here. Thank you, Jackie, so much
Thank
for
you.
inviting me here.
Well, we'll be right here for another 19 hours straight. So you just come and go as you please, everyone. This is your home.
I love it. I will. Bye-bye.
See you soon. See you soon, Renee.
See
Thank
you
you so
again.
much.
And Jackie, thank you so much for bringing this beautiful soul to this platform to share her incredible work with us. Wonderful.
Likewise, like you. Just thank you, everyone, for this opportunity, for you, Jamin, Nolan, for you to create this space for us to do this. This is such a blessing, and this is a dream come true. It truly is a dream come true to be able to do this and to share space and do this with you all. So thank you.
And what I find so amusing is we stumbled into this, you know? It's like, I love that in life. Like sometimes you don't plan things and you fall into them, right? And then they happen and then they blossom. It's like these cherry trees. And now all our petals of our words and thoughts and energy and love is flowing in the winds of change and transformation, time of change and transformation, and reaching all parts of the world.
And I love the idea of starting with the mantra, the singing bowls. I love that because I just felt the entire energy just shift, and we all went into this space. I felt like we were in this meditative sacred space that Khushbu set for us. It was beautiful. I would love to continue that. I'm right with Myra. We need to do that.
And it was so great that we started with prayer and poetry and ended with song. Beautiful. Myra.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Jackie, my twin sister. It was an amazing segment, and it comes so beautiful by time to time. Like, how was I supposed to know that a video that I was watching yesterday that I was so inspired with, and it was Renee. And now here we are interacting with her. And then as she's singing and her voice and her words, her lyrics, I honestly almost feel and believe that it's like Mother Nature speaking through every one of us. And it's a beautiful place. Like, hey, like before the pandemic, people will get excited and, oh, it's Friday. It's time to party and blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's like, it's Friday and I'm so excited to be here, and I'll keep on saying that every Friday. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Jamin and Melissa, for doing this, a 24-hour block party where I'm just anxious for every Friday to get here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Myra, for always sharing your beauty and your spirit with us and everyone. And so, Jackie, I'm going to hand it over to you, and then we were just suggesting maybe a break for 10 minutes.
Yeah, before the next session, to which everyone is invited. Please stick around. Don't go anywhere.
This is perfect because I was just going to say, we'll end this segment. I love you all. This is a sacred space, and I'm just so honored and privileged to be able to do the work that we're doing together. Myra, if you would introduce our guest for next Friday, and then we could just say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to have an amazing guest. He's a doctor. He lives in right on the skirts of the Ixtaccíhuatl in Mexico. Jackie was over there with the Ixtaccíhuatl has a beautiful meaning. I don't know if you guys ever read about that volcano, but it's the feminine side that needs to awaken up. And it's just beautiful, the whole story behind it. And we are going to have this person that owns that big property, and he has a lot of wisdom. He's going to be sharing with us about the divine feminine from quite a few aspects. And he's been a disciple of very important people. in this earth. So I'm excited also. It's going to be a great guest.
His name?
He's the father of three amazing artists. One of them is Deva Baumbach. The other one is Angelica Baumbach. And I don't know what's his son's name, but they're amazing people. Angelica has a group with her husband called Mirabai Seva, and they sing a lot of mantras in Sanskrit. But yeah, he's the father of them. He speaks German, he speaks English, and he speaks Spanish.
His name is Siegfried Baumbach.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jackie. I speak everything about him except his name. Yes,
I spent a week at his ashram in Mexico, and it was transformational. So I'm so looking forward to him joining us and meeting everyone next week. So thank you, everyone, again. I love you all.
Great. See you guys later.
All right,
Awesome.
we're gonna